While you were sleeping last night, while the world was still, and the silence was deepest, and the hour was the one that belongs to heaven more than any other, something was happening on your behalf that you did not know about and could not have seen. At 3:33 in the morning, in the realm where God moves without the limitation of natural time, a declaration was made over your life. The preparation is complete. The waiting is finished. The throne that was designed for you before you took your first breath has been made ready, and the chosen one who has been standing, sometimes barely standing through every season of the preparation, is now being called to take their seat. Stay right here, because what heaven finished in the night is about to become visible in your day. I am speaking directly to you right now. The chosen one who has been in a long season of preparation, and who has sometimes in the quietest moments of the longest nights wondered if the thing they were being prepared for was ever actually going to arrive. You have been faithful through a process that has been longer than you planned for and harder than you anticipated. You have shown up to the preparation even when showing up cost you something real. You have remained in the posture of trust, even when trust felt like the least logical choice available to you. You have held on to the promise through seasons when the promise felt more like a memory than an approaching reality. And now I am speaking to you directly, because the season of holding on is giving way to the season of stepping in. The preparation is complete, and what was prepared is ready for you to receive it. Let me talk to you about 3:33 in the morning, because the hour carries significance that deserves to be understood rather than simply felt. 3:33 is the hour of divine completion in the Spirit. It is the hour when heaven moves with a particular clarity and a particular power, because the noise of the natural world is at its quietest and the interference of human activity is at its lowest. It is the hour when the veil between what is visible and what is spiritual is at its thinnest. And it is the hour when God has, throughout the history of the Scripture and throughout the experience of His chosen ones across generations, released specific declarations over specific lives that mark the completion of a season and the beginning of what the completed season was pointing toward. You may have been waking at this hour, not out of anxiety, though sometimes anxiety was present, but out of something in your spirit that was alert to what was happening in the realm you could not see. Something that recognized even in the half-sleep of the early morning that the hour was significant, that something was moving, that the quiet was not the quiet of absence, but the quiet of something being finished. And what was being finished at that hour, what heaven was completing in the night season of your life, while you lay in the limited awareness of sleep, was the final preparation of everything that has been assembling for you since the day your purpose was written before the foundations of the world were laid. Type Amen. If you have ever woken in the night hours, feeling that something in the spirit was happening that you could not fully see, let me tell you what the royal throne represents. Because the language of throne can feel distant or metaphorical in a way that removes the reality of what God is speaking. So I want to make it specific. Your throne is not a seat of pride or a position of dominance over others. In the economy of God, a throne is a seat of assignment. It is the specific place in the specific territory that God created you to occupy and to serve from. It is the position from which the gifts He placed in you find their most full and most effective expression. It is the intersection of your calling and your character and your refined faith and your proven love and your hard-won wisdom, all assembled into a place that only you can fill, because it was designed around the specific and particular version of you that God assembled. When God says your throne is ready, He is saying that the place He designed for you to serve from, to impact from, to influence from, to give from, is now fully prepared to receive you. The preparations on His end are complete. The territory has been cleared. The resources have been assembled. The connections have been aligned. The doors have been unlocked. The people who need to be in position around your assignment are in position. Everything that needed to happen before you could step into the fullness of what He designed you for has happened, and the only thing that is not yet complete is your stepping into it. Type throne if you receive the truth that God has prepared a specific position for your specific gifts, and it is now ready for you to occupy it. Now I want to talk about what the completion of the preparation means for you practically. Because there is a tendency when we hear that something is finally done, that the waiting is over, that the preparation is complete, to immediately look outward for the evidence of completion, to scan the circumstances of our lives for the visible signs that something has shifted, to check the bank account and the relationship and the career and the health, and to measure the declaration of completion against the visible evidence of our natural world. And when the visible evidence does not immediately match the declaration, doubt begins to creep in. Maybe I misunderstood. Maybe it was not really finished. Maybe there is still more waiting to come. I want to address this directly. The completion that heaven declared over your life at this hour was a completion in the Spirit, and completions that occur in the Spirit do not always manifest immediately in the natural. There is a translation period, a time between the spiritual declaration and the natural manifestation, during which the declaration is becoming visible. And the length of that translation period is not a measure of whether the declaration was real. It is simply the nature of how the Spirit and the natural interact. What was declared complete in the Spirit is complete, and the manifestation of that completion in the circumstances of your natural life is in process right now. It is moving toward you with the momentum of everything that heaven has set in motion, and it will arrive, not eventually, in this season, in the specific now of what God has prepared. Type I trust. The translation, if you receive the truth that the completion heaven declared is real, even before you can see the full evidence of it in the natural. Let me speak about what heaven prepared specifically, because the throne that was made ready is not a general provision, it is not a vague improvement in your circumstances. It is a specific and detailed preparation that was assembled around the exact needs of your exact assignment. Let me name what was prepared so that when it begins to arrive you recognize it and receive it with the gratitude and the confidence that what you are receiving is exactly what God assembled. The first thing prepared is your position, the specific place in the specific territory where your gifts produce their maximum impact. This may be a literal position in a professional or ministerial or communal context. It may be a platform. It may be a room that opens, that gives you access to the people your assignment is designed to reach. It may be an opportunity that presents itself in a form you were not specifically expecting. But when it arrives, it will carry the quality of rightness that is God's signature on what He has prepared. Your spirit will recognize it even before your mind has fully processed it. And your response in that moment of recognition is to step in without hesitation, without the old habit of waiting for more confirmation than God has already given. The position is ready. Step into it. Type position ready if you are preparing yourself right now to recognize and step into the position God has prepared for you. The second thing prepared is your provision, the financial and relational and resource-based provision that your assignment requires to function at the level God designed it for. This provision is not going to arrive all at once necessarily, but it is going to begin arriving in this season with a consistency and a sufficiency that makes it unmistakably different from what the previous season provided. You are not going to be scraping for what you need for the assignment God has given you. He does not call people to assignments and then leave them under-resourced for the work. What He calls, He equips, and the equipping, the practical, tangible, visible provision for your specific work, is part of what was assembled in the preparation that heaven completed. Pay attention to how provision arrives in this season. It is going to come from directions you were not watching, through channels you did not predict, with a quality of rightness that distinguishes it from what you have been manufacturing on your own. When it arrives, do not shrink from it, out of the habitual smallness of a season that trained you to expect less than enough. Receive it at the full level it is being sent. It is for the assignment. It is resourced for the full expression of the work. And you receiving it fully is part of what allows the assignment to operate at the level it was designed for. Take a moment, and like this video, because someone who has been in a long season of preparation needs to find this message today and know that what heaven has prepared for them is about to arrive. Type full provision if you receive the truth that God has assembled provision for your assignment that is sufficient for the full expression of the work He designed you for. The third thing prepared is your people, the specific individuals who are assigned to walk alongside the assignment, not the people who were present in the preparation season necessarily, though some of them will continue, but the people who are specifically equipped and specifically positioned, and specifically called to the work that is beginning. Some of them you already know. Some of them are still approaching. But in this season, with the throne prepared and the assignment beginning to activate, the right people are going to come into clear view. And the wrong people, the ones who were part of the preparation but who are not part of the assignment, are going to naturally move to the periphery in ways that feel clean rather than painful. Because God manages the relational landscape of the throne with the same precision that he manages every other dimension of it. You will recognize your people by the alignment you feel with them, by the ease of the connection that does not require the performance that some of your previous relationships required, by the way they see what you carry and celebrate it rather than feeling threatened by it, by the way their gifts complement yours rather than compete with them, by the way the work that emerges from the combination of what you each bring is greater than what either of you produces alone. Type "My people are coming" if you receive the truth that God has assigned specific people to walk alongside your throne, and they are being positioned around you in this season. I want to close part 1 with this. The hour of 3:33 was not the beginning of God's work in your life. It was the completion of a work that began long before you were aware of it. Everything that has happened in your story, the joys and the losses, the breakthroughs and the setbacks, the seasons of abundance and the seasons of lack, the relationships that built you and the ones that wounded you, the faith that was tested and the faith that held, all of it was the preparation. And at 3:33 in the morning, in the hour that belongs to heaven, God looked at everything that had been assembled, through everything you had been through, and he said, "It is done." The chosen one is ready. The throne is prepared. The season of preparation has accomplished what it was designed to accomplish, and the season of stepping in has begun. You are stepping in, right now, in this moment, not when everything looks exactly right, not when the circumstances align perfectly with the declaration. Right now, in faith, in the confidence of someone who knows that when God says it is done, and that the completion he declared is more real than anything the natural world can show or not show in this immediate moment. Stay with me in part 2, because God is going to tell you how to take your seat, what it looks like to step into the throne that heaven prepared, what happens in the spirit and in the natural the moment you do, and what the royal dimension of who you are means for how you walk through the rest of your life from this day forward. Welcome back, chosen one. If you are in part 2, the declaration that God spoke in part 1 has landed somewhere in you that is deeper than your mind. The truth that heaven completed something in the night, that the throne was prepared, that the position and the provision and the people are assembled and waiting. That truth is working in you right now, even as you continue to listen. In part 2, God is going to tell you how to take your seat. What stepping into the throne actually looks like in the practical experience of your life. What happens the moment you step in, and what the royal identity he is speaking over you means for how you move through the world from this point forward. Type "taking my seat" if you are ready to receive everything God has in this part. Let me start with what taking your seat actually looks like, because there is a version of stepping into your throne that is dramatic and visible and accompanied by some kind of obvious external confirmation that the new season has definitively begun. And sometimes God does mark the beginning of a new season with a specific and visible moment. But more often, the stepping in is not dramatic. It is a series of quiet, intentional, consecutive choices that together constitute the taking of a seat that was always prepared for you. The first choice is the choice to see yourself as God sees you in this season, not in the sense of pride or entitlement or the kind of elevation that separates you from the people you are called to serve, but in the sense of someone who knows that they carry something that was given to them by the highest authority in existence. Someone who understands that the assignment they carry was written by God before they were born. Someone who moves through the world with the settled certainty of a person who knows whose they are and what they were made for. This is the royal identity that God is speaking over you. And taking your seat begins with receiving it, not waiting until circumstances confirm it. Receiving it now, in faith, as the truth of who you are in this new season. Type "I am royal" if you receive the identity that God is speaking over you in this season of the prepared throne. The second choice in taking your seat is the choice to stop operating from the limitations of the preparation season, because the preparation season installs specific habits of smallness, of caution, of holding back, of managing expectations downward to protect yourself from the pain of unmet hope. These habits were understandable and even protective in the preparation season, but they are not appropriate for the throne season. They are too small for what God has prepared, and when you carry them into the new season, they create a friction between where you are positioned and how you are operating that limits what the position can produce. Taking your seat means releasing those habits consciously and deliberately. It means making decisions from the throne position rather than the preparation position. It means setting expectations at the level of what God declared, rather than at the level of what the previous season established as normal. It means speaking about your life and your future and your assignment in the language of the throne, rather than the language of the waiting. Every time you make one of these choices, every time you act from the royal identity, rather than the preparation identity, you are more fully taking the seat that heaven prepared. Type releasing old limits if you are consciously choosing to release the habits of the preparation season and step into the operating posture of the throne season. Now let me tell you what happens in the spirit the moment you take your seat, because the spiritual consequences of a chosen one stepping into their prepared throne are significant and immediate, even when they are not immediately visible in the natural. The first thing that happens is that the spiritual territory of your assignment recognizes its rightful occupant. There is a concept in the spirit of rightful occupancy, of a position that was designed for a specific person, and that resonates differently when that person is in it than when anyone else attempts to operate from it. When you step into your throne, the spiritual territory that is attached to your assignment responds. Things that were waiting for your occupancy to be activated begin to move. Resources that were held in reserve for the arrival of the right steward begin to flow. Connections that were aligned in preparation for the throne occupant to be in position begin to arrive. This is not mystical language for its own sake. It is describing a real dynamic in the spirit that has practical consequences in the natural. The stepping in activates what the preparation assembled, and the activation produces the visible manifestation of everything that was declared complete at 3:33. Type activated if you receive the truth that your stepping into your prepared throne activates in the spirit everything that heaven assembled for your assignment. The second spiritual consequence of taking your seat is the silencing of the voices that have been speaking against your right to occupy it, because there have been voices. Internal voices that said you were not ready, not worthy, not qualified. External voices that spoke ceilings over your life and limitations over your future. Spiritual voices that aligned with the enemy's agenda of keeping the throne unoccupied by convincing you that you did not deserve to sit in it. All of these voices have one thing in common. They lose their power the moment you actually step in, because a royal cannot be argued out of their throne by voices that have no authority in the territory of the throne. The moment you are seated, the voices that tried to prevent the seating become irrelevant. They are speaking to a position that is no longer empty, and empty positions are their target. Occupied thrones are beyond their jurisdiction. Type silenced if you receive the truth that the moment you take your seat, the voices that work to keep it empty lose their authority over your life. Let me talk about what the royal dimension of who you are means for how you move through the world from this point forward. Because the identity that God is establishing in you is not just for private spiritual experience. It is for the way you carry yourself in every space you enter, in every conversation you have, in every decision you make, in every relationship you engage. The royal identity is a practical identity. It changes things on the ground. It changes how you enter rooms. You stop entering apologetically, with the body language of someone who is not sure they belong and is waiting for someone to confirm that they do. You enter as someone who knows they were invited because what they carry was needed in the space. Not with arrogance, with the quiet confidence of someone who has been placed where they are for a reason and who is simply walking in alignment with that placement. It changes how you speak. You stop hedging your words unnecessarily. Stop qualifying every declaration with language that preemptively minimizes it in case it does not come true. Stop apologizing for the clarity and the weight of what you have to say. The royal voice speaks with the authority of someone who knows what they know, who has been through enough and learned enough and been formed enough to speak from a place of genuine, proven truth. And that authority in your speech begins to produce a different quality of reception from the people who hear you. It changes how you handle opposition. The person who is seated in a throne that God prepared is not destabilized by opposition the way the person who is still in the preparation season is. Not because opposition does not come, it absolutely comes, but because the seated one has a clarity about their position that the opposition cannot undermine. When you know you are in the place God prepared for you, the voices and the forces and the circumstances that try to move you out of it simply do not have the leverage they would have if you were uncertain about whether you belonged there. The throne provides a stability that the preparation season does not provide, and you are in the throne now. Type royal posture if you are choosing right now to carry yourself in every room, every conversation, every decision with the identity of the one God placed on the throne He prepared. I want to speak to the people who are going to notice the shift, because when a chosen one takes their seat, when they step into the throne and begin operating from the royal identity rather than the preparation identity, the people around them feel it. They may not be able to name what changed. They may not have the language for what they are sensing, but they know something is different. The person who used to need a certain kind of reassurance no longer needs it. The person who used to shrink in certain spaces no longer shrinks. The person who used to speak with uncertainty is now speaking with a settled authority that was not there before, and people respond to that shift in a way that creates new dynamics in the relationships around you. Some people will celebrate. These are the ones who have been waiting for this version of you to fully emerge, who saw what was in you before you fully saw it yourself, who believed in the throne when you were still unsure it was real. These people are going to feel the shift and celebrate it with a genuineness that is going to be deeply moving to you. Receive their celebration. It is part of what God is using to confirm the reality of your stepping in. Some people will be uncomfortable. The shift in your identity and your posture and your authority is going to challenge the dynamic they were used to having with you. The dynamic in which your uncertainty or your smallness or your need for their validation gave them a certain position in the relationship. When that dynamic changes, when you are no longer operating from those places, they will feel the change, and some of them will push back against it. Do not be moved by the pushback. It is not evidence that something is wrong with your stepping in. It is evidence that the stepping in is real enough to be felt. Type unmoved if you are choosing to remain settled in your throne identity, regardless of how people around you respond to the shift. Now I want to close with the most important thing God wants to say about the royal throne He has prepared for you. And it is this: the throne was not prepared as a reward for your performance. It was not assembled as a prize for having survived the preparation season with sufficient faithfulness. It was prepared because from before the beginning, God had a plan. A specific, personal, detailed plan for a specific chosen one, with a specific assignment that required a specific throne. And you are that chosen one. The assignment is yours. The throne is yours, not because you earned it, because you were made for it. Because God designed you for it, before He designed the preparation that was required to bring you to the moment of readiness for it. Everything that happened in the preparation, every hard season, every lesson, every moment of fire and silence and confusion and faith was not random, and it was not punishment, and it was not delayed provision. It was the intentional, precise, God-orchestrated formation of the person who is now ready to sit in what was always prepared for them. The preparation and the throne belong together. One produced the other, and now both are present in your life at the same time. The person who was formed by the preparation and the place that was built for that person to occupy. It is done. Heaven declared it at 3:33. The preparation is complete. The throne is ready. The chosen one is here. And the only remaining thing is the stepping in that is happening right now through the simple, faith-filled, royal act of receiving what God has prepared and saying yes to the seat He is offering. Type "It is done." I receive it. If you accept by faith right now that the preparation is complete, the throne is ready, and you are stepping into the full expression of everything God has prepared for you in this new royal season. God worked through the night on your behalf. He works through every night on your behalf. In the hours when you are not watching and not working and not striving, He is preparing, He is assembling, He is completing. And at 3:33, in the hour that belongs to Him most fully, He looked at what He had built for you, and He said, "It is done." And what God declares done is done, not eventually, not approximately, completely and irreversibly, and with a finality that no opposition can reopen and no delay can extend. Your throne is ready, chosen one. Take your seat. The work of the new season is waiting. The people of the assignment are in position. The provision is flowing. The territory is responding to its rightful occupant. And heaven is watching with the specific, personal, overwhelmingly joyful attention of a God who is about to watch His chosen one walk fully into everything He always designed for them. Take your seat. It was always yours, and it has never been more ready than it is right now.